Whenever you're ready, how about you introduce yourself?
Hey, my name is Stephen Coxen. I am a 1999 graduate of Georgia College, and I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about your time at GCSU.
Sure. So I began my time at GCSU in fall of 1995. I guess back when we were officially just Georgia College prior to the change to Georgia College State University. And I guess somewhat interestingly, I came there with a group of friends from high school, one of which I was going there with to both try to walk on the baseball team. That was the initial plan and goal. My friend did, in fact, walk on the baseball team. I got there and, like many freshmen, found other things to do to occupy my time and decided to never honestly try for baseball and instead got very involved in a lot of student organizations on campus, in particular Greek life, and got very, very involved in my fraternity at Georgia College, which was I was a Kappa Sigma there, and just loved every second of it. And yeah, I think like a lot of kids, especially at that point in time in Georgia College's history, I went there thinking, I'll try to do the baseball thing. If that doesn't work out, then maybe I'll transfer to Georgia or do whatever the case might be. But I just fell in love with Georgia College in every respect, and never even gave a second thought to transferring. Just got, again, incredibly involved in every aspect, not just in Greek life, but I joined a lot of other campus organizations as well, and just loved every bit of it. It was a wonderful time.
Yeah, wonderful. So any courses or instructors stand out in your memory, or any clubs in addition to Greek life?
Sure. Well, obviously, most of my course load was in the political science department.
Yeah.
So the vast majority of my memorable classes were in political science, but I did probably the first memorable course I took for a lot of reasons was Dr. Gwendolyn Stafford's English 101 and 102 class. I had her for both of those. I think she's no longer with us, unfortunately, but she was an amazing teacher in many ways. Among those was that I came to college thinking that I could write well and thinking that I was good at language arts. And Dr. Stafford quickly showed me that I was not nearly as proficient as I thought I was. Many of my first few papers looked like someone had literally bled on them. There was so much red ink from mostly grammatical errors that I'd made. So it was a difficult transition at first, but it was an incredibly educational and advantageous transition because I learned a ton from her and from that course. And I'd like to think that I am a much better and more proficient, more grammatically correct writer than I would have been had I not taken that course. So that was probably the first very memorable course that I had, but there were many others. I mean, I took Dr. Digby political science stats was probably the most difficult course I ever took. It was a very good course, but it was very challenging. So that sticks out. I took a couple of just really, really interesting, fun courses. Took a course on the Vietnam War. It was a summer class. It was like a one of these summer one night a week, 3 or 4 hour marathon type classes. But it was incredibly interesting, and I learned a lot more about that conflict and that time period than I had known before. The professor, whose name escapes me now, but he even brought in actual Vietnam War veterans to come in and speak to us about their experiences there and during that conflict. So it was a really, really good course that I really enjoyed. And then there was a class that was kind of like a survey on the presidency that I really enjoyed as well, that I remember very well, that we literally almost did like a historical deep dive into the most, if not all, of the presidencies of every president that's presided. And then our final was to write a term paper that was more or less create your perfect president, taking different attributes from different presidents and different presidencies over the course of time to kind of develop almost a Frankenstein president, so to speak, of who you think would be the most effective and most beneficial to our country president if they had all these different attributes. So I just really, really enjoyed that class. So those are the ones that and there were so many others. I mean, probably I'm skipping over a lot and doing a disservice to a lot of other professors that I have, but those are the ones that for whatever reason really stick out.
That's a pretty cool project. So what Frankenstein POTUS did you make?
Well, again, I took bits and pieces from many. I was a big fan of Kennedy and a lot of his domestic agenda and just his political style, his ability to, I think, be ahead of his time in a lot of respects and trying to reach across the aisle. Yeah, times were different then. Obviously, I don't think our country was nearly as polarized as it is now. And you could, work together regardless of political affiliation or party affiliation, I should say. And I think get a lot more done. And I think he showed that along in a lot of ways with his domestic agenda. So I stole a lot of Kennedy, stole a lot of Reagan. I'm a big Reagan fan, especially with some of his economic policies. So I think those are probably the biggest, presidencies that I pulled from. I feel like there may have been some Roosevelt, FDR, and Teddy probably got picked apart some. It's been so long ago. I'm getting old that I don't remember everything, but I definitely know there's a lot of Kennedy and a lot of Reagan. I'm sure of that.
I might steal that,
Beyond
steal
that,
that assignment. That's pretty cool.
yeah, it was very neat. So like I said, I definitely enjoyed that. That whole course was fun, but that assignment itself it was a really fun way to end the class. And term papers are always a little stressful and time consuming, but it was actually an enjoyable term paper to write if there is such a thing.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your career. So did you go straight to law school, straight to grad school? What was your trajectory?
Yeah, so for the most part, I went straight. I graduated December '99, so I had I guess a 6 month period, give or take, 6 to 8 month period where I had to find something else to do. So I actually stayed in Milledgeville and worked for an attorney who was a private practitioner there in Milledgeville named Tom Phillips. I literally kind of did a cold call, knock on doors type campaign as I was getting ready to graduate that fall, and went to multiple different attorneys' offices there in downtown Milledgeville and just kind of disseminated resumes. I was like, hey, I'm about to graduate, want to go to law school. Yeah, if you're interested, give me a call. And he called back and was a wonderful gentleman, great lawyer. And I guess as fate would have it, his practice turns out to be a lot like my current practice. So it was a very good practical experience and learning what the practice of law was like prior to actually going to law school. So I clerked for him and lived in Milledgeville. Actually started working for him, I want to say in like October possibly of '99. So I worked a couple of months before I graduated and then stayed in Milledgeville and worked for him all the way through August of that following year, when I left and went to start law school at Georgia State and learned a ton, and that was very beneficial. And then I started law school in the fall of 2000 at Georgia State in Atlanta, and that was a great experience. Did a lot of cool things there that I think being in an urban environment lended itself to that other law schools may not have had some of the same opportunities. I clerked for the DeKalb Solicitor's Office in Decatur and got a lot of really good hands-on experience there. And then was on the Student Trial Lawyers Association for the law school there, which is in essence our mock trial team. So I did a couple of years on the mock trial team that gave me some really good experience and just really enjoyed my time at Georgia State, and graduated in 2003 and started my career by working here in Covington, where I'm currently at, but I worked initially for the DA's office, took a job as a prosecutor, and I worked in the DA's office for, I guess, the first 3 years or so of my practice, and then left in 2006 ish to go into private practice, and initially worked for a firm as kind of a junior partner here in the Covington area for several years. And then in 2010, I opened up my own practice with a friend of mine, and basically have been in private practice and self-employed, owning my own firm since. It's kind of segued now into me being a sole practitioner. My former law partner, in the kind of the peak of the pandemic, like a lot of folks, made a career change and actually moved out to Colorado. But so it went from the partnership of Coxen and Worthington to just the Coxen Firm, which is our current, yes, entity that I operate. But I've been a private practitioner, and now a sole practitioner, for the better part of 13 years now. And it's been really good. We've been very blessed and very fortunate that it's gone well, and I've been very much enjoyed it.
Okay. So would you give any particular advice to somebody at GCSU right now who's interested in going to law school? Anything you wish you to know?
Sure. So I'm assuming that these types of opportunities are still available because they were when I was in school there. When I was in school there was basically an opportunity to take a free LSAT prep class. And this falls under the category of do as I say, not as I do. Because while that opportunity was there, I didn't take advantage of it. I was super busy with all my extracurricular activities and kept putting it off and putting it off until it was really too late. And so I did not do that. But in hindsight, I really wish I had. I thankfully did relatively well in the last LSAT, but I think I would have done much better if I'd actually spent some time preparing for it. So assuming those opportunities still exist, I would strongly encourage, students that have an interest in law school to do that and take any and all LSAT prep classes that they can, because that test is definitely a difficult exam to sit through. Other than that, just enjoy all the different things that are unique to Georgia College. I mean, you have the opportunity to actually speak with your professors and get to know your professors, and many of those professors, I'm sure, have connections to people within various law schools throughout the state, or know lawyers, or know people that they can connect you to that can get you internships or get you jobs that will prepare you for law school. And not every school, especially the larger academic institutions, afford that opportunity. You can't actually sit down and get to know your professors. So if students aren't already doing that, take advantage of the office time that's been set up. And in my case, oftentimes I could just walk in. I don't know if that's really still the case, but a lot of times you can just walk in and talk to professors. So do that, network, take advantage of those opportunities, get involved on campus. Again, I was super involved in the Greek community, but I was also on the student ambassadors team. I worked with the Student Government Association. I was never a senator, but I worked with them. Did a lot of things with other organizations just to, again, I became really good friends with Dr. DiPaolo, who was our president at the time, through the student ambassador team experience. And so the more you can network, the more people you can get to know, I think the better off you'll be, whether it's law school or whatever your professional ambition might be. I think Georgia College is just unique in that aspect, that it's small enough to where you're not just a number. If you want to stick out and you want to excel and you want to get to know people, there's an opportunity to actually do that there. And I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice I can give, because you're going to get a great education if you apply yourself, no matter what. You've got great professors, great curriculum, you're going to learn, but really preparing yourself for life after college, again, whether it's law school, any other graduate school, or just going into the workforce, it's about a lot more than just having a diploma. It's about really life skills and networking and developing and preparing yourself for the real world. And so that is what I felt like I benefited potentially the most from at Georgia College. Excuse me. And what I would strongly encourage students to take advantage of that are there now.
So before I let you go, just anything else we should have talked about that we did? Anything come to mind?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I guess, if any students have a desire, in law school or in the practice of law, would like to reach out to me directly, feel free. You can Google me, I'm all over the web, and feel free to contact me via email or in the office. And I'm always here to help a Bobcat. I still am very active with the college fraternity and help those guys out as much as I possibly can. And Georgia College is just legitimately near and dear to my heart. I felt like it. I can honestly say that I don't think I would be where I am today had I gone somewhere other than Georgia College. And as a result, I feel it incumbent upon me to give back to anybody that asks for help. And so if anybody needs anything, anybody wants to pick my brain, so to speak, feel free to contact me at your convenience, and we'll be here for you.
That's very kind. I appreciate it.
No problem. Well, Dr. Smith, I appreciate your time. And
Thank you.
again, if you guys ever need anything from me, just let me know.